Leave your comments on the Ask Reddit sub, and I'll read your answers on the next episode of LWIAR. Kids born to teen moms, how different is your life compared to other kids? When friends would come over for the first time growing up, I'd get a lot of, "I didn't know you had an older sister." "I don't. That's my mother." Also, since my mom and I are only 16 years apart, we ended up liking a lot of the same music, which made going to concerts a lot easier, because we'd often want to go to the same shows. So, I've definitely seen a lot more bands than friends. I was 20 when I had my daughter, and people often asked if we were sisters. My daughter was always horrified when people assumed we were sisters. When she started 3rd grade, we had just moved, so she was in a new school. She came home a couple days into the school year declaring that I had to start dressing like an old person because then maybe people wouldn't assume we were sisters. We laugh about it a lot now, many years later. Funnily enough, I kind of have the opposite story. My oldest sister and youngest brother are 18 years apart. When she took walks with the youngest in the park when he was around 1, a lot of people assumed she was the mother. Me too. There's 25 years between me and my little brothers. Twins. I have my own kid, 8, and I once took my own kid, the twins, 2, and my nephew, 6, out to the park and had multiple people tell me I was coping so well with 4 kids. If this ever happens again, you should say only one of them is yours, then point at one of the twins. My mom was 16 and my dad 19 when they had me. They took me to a lot of concerts, music festivals growing up. Starting around age 9, their go-to birthday present for me was concerts. The first couple years it was stuff they liked. After I started developing my own teen tastes, they'd give me 3 tickets so I could take a friend and my uncle as chaperone. Edit to address something that has come up multiple times in the responses below. My dad isn't a pedo. They are 2.5 years apart in age, which isn't a big difference at all. He was 2 grades ahead of her in school. They've been split up for years, and I've never seen him date anyone outside of his age range. Was the uncle that younger brother of one of your parents that's much closer in age but still considered a responsible adult? LMFAO, because yeah, that's the stereotype I lived. My mom's youngest brother, he was only 10 when I was born, so when I went through my Bon Jovi phase, he was still young enough to be into that sort of thing. 2. Yo, Bon Jovi was just a phase to you. My mother resented me and the freedom I had as a teen and young adult. I got to do and experience so many things she didn't get to by choice. Onto her side, I come from a long line of teen moms, but I didn't make that mistake. I was 27 when my daughter was born, and my daughter is almost 22 and no kids yet, so the cycle is broken on our branch at least. On the flip side, my mum thought I spent too much of my late teens and early 20s at home with my boyfriend, now husband, over 10 years later, instead of going out drinking and clubbing every weekend like young people are supposed to do. Jesus Christ, dude, you hit the nail on the head with this one. My mother never wanted me to succeed out of pure jealousy, and would sometimes go to great extents to stop me from succeeding at something. Yes, when I started to look at colleges, my mom would snidely say, "I would have gone to college if I didn't have you." It freaked me up pretty bad. Lost all excitement to graduate and move into the next phase of my life. Okay, you guys are inadvertently helping me understand years of neglect and hateful behavior from my mother. Thanks. This is much cheaper than therapy. Reddit is so much cheaper than psychiatry, am I right? If you're in the USA, hell yeah. My mom and I are really close. She had me at 14. Growing up, I noticed a lot of my friends didn't get along with their moms. I always thought she was really relatable. We go eat, go shopping, get coffee, gossip, just hang out. She worked a lot, sometimes multiple jobs at once, so I felt like I did less extracurricular than my friends. But I was pretty happy growing up. She is always concerned with money. I'm starting to notice that Shusha's not very good at saving money or planning retirement and whatnot. I once asked a family friend, now that us kids are grown, how are my parents still living paycheck to paycheck? She explained that, in her opinion, my mom basically skipped learning how to take care of herself as an adult. Instead of learning how to effectively adult, she focused on taking care of her kids. I will forever be grateful for my mom and the hard work and sacrifices she endured to raise me and my siblings. I agree with this. I was 19 when I got pregnant. Was definitely not ready to have a child. I have money at the end of every paycheck, but I am terrible at saving. I focus very heavily on making sure my 2 children have everything they need and are signed up for activities that I wasn't able to participate in. My credit isn't the best either, but that's due to medical debt from my oldest being special needs, which I'm working on. I hope that by the time they are older I'm able to help them navigate finances like I was never shown how to. I agree with this on one side. My mom was a teen mom, but we aren't super close. Not close enough to confide in her. She was always working, so I was always taking care of my younger siblings while she was away. I ended up getting married and having my son when I was 17. He and I are really close. We have great communication and he has no problem coming and asking me for advice, which I'm so grateful for. Working to break the cycle, and so far so good. Parents still trying to grow up and learn life lessons 10 years later because they never really had the chance to while raising you. It's kinda cool though, cause then if you're aware enough you also pick up on it. I worked with a mother and daughter who were only 16-ish years apart. They used to go clubbing together. I always thought that was kinda nice. Edit. Oh, and the daughter's name was Stacy, so we always used to sing, "Stacy's mom has got it going on." They were still enough of a daughter-mother relationship for that to wind Stacy up. My parents weren't teenagers when they had me and my sister, but they were not ready to be parents. It's wild now that I'm a grown-but adult and my dad now has a 5-year-old. Now that he's ready and in a great relationship, he's doing a fantastic job. Sometimes I'm sad that my little brother is gonna have a relationship that I'll never get. But conversely, I'll get to be someone for him that I never had, so it'll all work out. Is it weird to be an adult with a young sibling? I had my son at 19, didn't have any more kids for reasons, but I'm still young enough we could. As an adult with a bunch of younger siblings, it's honestly not too weird. Although I don't live with them. It is a fun fact to bring up when having conversation though. Mom was 15 when she had me. Honestly, my life sucked. She used to say that she could have given me up for adoption and then decided not to because she realized that I would love her unconditionally no matter what. Our relationship progressed pretty negatively because of that mindset of hers. Every negative thing I did was against what she thought motherhood would be like. I was something she could pick up and put down and leave behind at her leisure. There were a number of times she'd drop me off at a family member's house and disappear. Once, I came home from kindergarten and no one was there. Dad was in prison. The next morning, my uncle showed up. He had heard my mom left and had a gut feeling he needed to go to my house. There was no food and the heat had been turned off by the utility company. I don't remember much about that time other than the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and the Demolition Man movie. She had pretty bad trauma and never processed it properly. So when she got angry due to a trauma reminder, she got really angry. When she was good boy, she was golden. She could be the most fun of a person you could ask for. But she wasn't a mother. She never held and comforted. She expected hugs and comfort. She was a kid, and thought with a kid brain. When we had some spare change, she'd walk me to the ice cream place. And she'd buy herself an ice cream and we'd go back home. As I got older, our already weird relationship became weirder. She told me she didn't want people to know she was my mom and I could introduce her as my sister. She would tell people that she had 3 children, my siblings, and not claim me because people would do the math. She wanted to be friends with my friends. She wanted to hang around when they were there. What I know about having a teenage mom is this. I loved her with the kind of fanatical worship that messed me up for a long time. She could be funny and cruel at the same time. When she gave you attention, your world would be brighter, but when she was mad at you, the world would be dark. She never grew out of her teenage mindset. And I had to come to grips with that. I can't say that every teenage mom is like mine, but mine was rough. Edit. I don't have the words to say to express my gratitude for all who have shared similar stories or gave support. Honestly, hearing that my story isn't unique, as sucky as it is, makes me know that I'm not alone. I can't give you all a hug, though I wish I could. For all that shared, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Edit 2. People asked how I'm doing now. I just graduated with my master's in social work last week. The long and the short of it is years ago, I ran away from home and ended up at my best friend's house. Lots of work, and hurt, and healing later. I don't see my bio mom anymore. I was adopted by my best friend's family when I was 29 though. I'll tell you, that paper may seem insignificant to people who don't understand, but for me, I stop and stare at it sometimes. My adopted mom hung the adoption certificate on the wall. It's legal proof I have a family who loves me and no one can take that away. The best thing I can say to people is go to therapy. Find a therapist who works for you. I went to 5 before I found the one that clicked. Separate your blood relatives from the people who love you. Found family is as valid or more so than those you share blood with. Your friends can be your family. My closest friends are my sisters and brothers, and I call them that. I tell friends and family that I love them. It's hard when you're raised by people who weaponize love, but at the end of it all, love is what makes life worth it. You know. Also, forgive yourself. Forgive that sometimes when you get hurt or scared or angry, your parent will come out of your mouth. Acknowledge that you're breaking the cycle, but we were raised in a different world and everyone sounds like their parents sometimes. For those who had parents like my mom, the scariest thing could be hearing yourself echo what they said. Sometimes, I feel the desire to make someone work for my attention. And then I realize that's my mom's influence. That's not me. So, be kind to yourself. My adopted mom says the world treats you like you think you should be treated, and our parents raised us to think we should be treated like crap. They were wrong. We should be, and with inner reflection, hard work, therapy and our found family's support, we'll see ourselves as people worthy of being loved. We are worthy. I'm worthy. You're worthy. From one stranger to another. I love you all. One of my friends has a teen mom. She doesn't talk about it too much, but she says that it's nice how all family members, great-grandparents, are still alive. That threw me off so much. My parents had me at 40 and their parents had them around 30, so by the time I was born I already was one grandparent down, and it only took a few years for the next to go. Now at the age of 22 I have none. Meanwhile my BF's family all have had children around 18 and his great-great-grandparents are still alive and he goes on trips with his grandparents. Ideally, they should have the advantage of multiple caregivers. I would think with everyone still so young, everyone is still working versus having older retired grandparents. This tends to be the case. I work at an ob-gyn clinic and young mothers often have no family to help out because even their grandparents are still working. It's a huge problem passed down through generations because the kids usually don't have enough positive adult contact, mentoring in their lives, because everyone is working their asses off to avoid the same mistake. I went to school with a girl who had her first child at 14. She had 2 more before graduation. At the age of 28 she became a grandmother. The child-born's great-great-great-grandmother was alive and only 82. If she lives until 96, she can meet her great-great-great-great-grandkid. I feel like that's approaching some human record. That would be like Jonathan Joestar meeting Jolin. A friend is a teacher. She had a parent come in for a parent-teacher conference. It was her student's grandmother. Child was 8. Grandmother was 36. She had her daughter at 14. Daughter had her child at 14. I had my first at 32. Can imagine having a grandchild at that age. When I used to teach, I had a 13-year-old excitedly tell me that his mom and I were the same age. I was 26. Did they not have BC or condoms back then or something? Have you ever watched the first 15 minutes of Idiocracy? If you turn on the American news you can see Idiocracy live. That's not true. President Dwayne Elizondo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho was smart enough to know that he couldn't solve the problems, so he hired the smartest person to solve them. 28 minus 14. Oh no. IKR, how the hell did it happen again? Bird, honeybee. Red apple, evergreen tree. Okay, sign left finger. Sometimes I think my mom's life would have been better if I wasn't born, or at least born when she was an adult. Thanks for watching LWIAR. The best of recent r/AskReddit submissions and comments. If you like this video, check out LWIAR too. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.